I hope you're having a lovely evening. We're just a few students from Oakwood High School, as she said. We're going to take a second to explain why we have supported Rose for so long, why we're going to continue to support her this upcoming election season, and hopefully why you should too. So first off, my name is Maze, and I am a senior at Oakwood High School.
My name is Ava. I'm also a senior at Oakwood High School.
My name is Abby, and I'm also a senior.
So we have been working with Rose for about 2 years now. We've really been through it all, like standing outside on election day at polling booths, canvassing homes. So we have really gotten to see just how amazing of a person Rose is, how well she runs this campaign, how much of a pleasure it has absolutely been to work with her. And then Ava is going to tell you a little personal story that really solidified this for us.
So unfortunately, the story I have to tell today is a little bit sad, so just preparing you for that. But this past summer, all three of us were in speech and debate, and we attended the National Speech and Debate Tournament this past summer. And everything was great until it turned terrifying really quickly on the Thursday of that week in the Iowa Convention Center, when a guy with a bag came on stage and interrupted a performance and was like looking through his bag. And instantly this created fear within the crowd, because the crowd was thinking like one of two things. Either this guy is looking to grab a gun out of his bag, or this guy's either looking to grab a bomb or some other type of weapon. And Abby and I, we were standing right outside this auditorium, and as we were about to enter, a whole crowd of people just came running at us. And like at this moment, we just started running out, and like we were basically running for our lives. And at this moment, we were thinking, oh my God, like we might die in this moment. Like there could be a guy in there with a gun that's about to come after us. Thankfully, it was kind of like a false alarm kind of thing, and everyone was okay, but this kind of left a scar on us that will never probably be mended. And we are here like supporting Rose today, and because she fights against these kind of issues. And after we took time to kind of just think about the experience and calm ourselves down, we did what we knew was right, and we called Rose and we explained to her what happened, because we knew that she'd be there to listen to us. And she did, and she listened to our concerns, and she expressed how sorry she was. And from that moment forward, we knew we wanted to do something to make sure that this never happened to anybody again, and no one ever felt this feeling ever again. And thank you. And we know that Rose, she wants to fight against gun violence and any violence in general.
So when we called Rose from our hotel room that day, we were terrified. And we already knew that she would be the best candidate for state rep position. But this story really demonstrates what other people who don't know this yet can see in her, that she listens to people's concerns, and that she is truly the best candidate for District 36 state representative. In addition to gun violence policies, she also works to enact bodily autonomy policies, among other things like putting public dollars into public schools. And those are some of the many reasons why we think she would be the best candidate for District 36.
As a sort of closing statement, I just wanted to mention, like last November definitely might have been disheartening for some. I know it certainly was for me. But the most important thing for you to remember every day is that you are the agent and you are the actor in your own life. You have the ability and the capability to change your own life for you and your children going into the future. So if you're scared in this moment, at this dark chapter in our lives, just remember that there are steps that you can take. You can donate to local campaigns like Rose Lounsbury. You can continue to show up like this and support her. So let's all give a warm welcome in introducing Rose tonight.
Thank you.
I'm so honored to have young people helping on my campaign. And I do want to talk a little bit about that phone call that I got from Ava and Abby in July. If you know teenagers, you know that they never really call you on the phone. They text first to see if it's okay to call you. And so when I got this call unexpectedly in the middle of July from Ava, I said, oh, I got to answer this. And it was literally right after they had gotten done running for what they feared was their lives. And so, I talked to them, I listened to them, and I remember what Ava said. It really stuck with me. She said, this isn't right, and what do we need to do to change it? And it was so heartening to me because one of my fears, especially as a mom of kids their age, is that because this is normal, because they have been practicing since they were 5 years old how to huddle under a desk, how to barricade inside a classroom, how to escape out of a window so that you don't get killed. It's normal. My fear is that that's going to become okay to them and that they're going to accept it. So I'm really honored to have students like them who stand up and say, no, this is not okay. It's not right. And even though they have had zero part in creating the gun violence that we see in our society today, they're still committed to changing it. So that doesn't give me hope. I don't know how to give you hope. Well, let's talk about this campaign then. I'm Rose Lounsbury, as you know, and I am so thrilled to be running again for state rep in Ohio's House District 36. It is the honor of my life to be able to do this. 36, if you don't know, it includes Kettering, Oakwood, Riverside, East Dayton, and downtown Dayton. And I'm running again because the issues that motivated me to run the first time are still here. In fact, many of them are only getting worse, and I am committed to creating a state that our young people are going to want to stay in. I am a former public school teacher. I am the daughter of 2 retired public school teachers, and I am the mom of teenage triplets who all attend public school right here at Oakwood High School. They are sophomores. So protecting our public schools is absolutely one of my top priorities. The greatest threat that I see right now for our public schools is Ohio's Universal Ed Choice Voucher Program. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that for those of you who might not be familiar with it. Prior to 2023, to get a voucher in Ohio, you had to meet some criteria. You had to either be a low-income family or you had to live within the confines of a school district that was considered failing on the Ohio State Report Card. In 2023, the legislature blew the doors off that program, eliminated all of the requirements, and they created a universal voucher program, meaning anyone, anywhere, any income level was now eligible for a voucher. And voucher use exploded in our state. As a matter of fact, right here in Oakwood, in the past 2 years, voucher use has increased 1,500%. But that's not because families are pulling their kids out of Oakwood public schools and putting them in private schools. It's because all the families in Oakwood who already sent their kids to private school, who could already afford that tuition, they were now receiving a voucher, meaning they were getting a discount or a coupon or a rebate on the tuition they could already afford to pay. And it's not just happening in Oakwood. It's happening across our state. The Dayton Daily News did a study a couple months ago that showed 90% of voucher recipients in Ohio are not low-income families. And so sometimes people want to tell me, vouchers are a social program. But I say, why don't you show me another social program where 90% of the recipients are not low income? I mean, can you imagine if it was food stamps? We'd be outraged. We'd say something's really wrong. So vouchers aren't a social program, but they are a form of welfare. They're welfare for the wealthy. And Republicans used to like to talk a lot about welfare queens back in the day, but they don't seem to mind that they have now created voucher queens in our state. And, some people will tell me, this doesn't really affect me because I don't have kids in school, but it actually affects all of us because of the way these things are funded. The funding for vouchers and the funding for public schools comes from the same line item in the state budget. That means $1 more for vouchers is literally $1 less for public schools, and we're spending over $1 billion a year on this voucher program. And what happens to all of us when our local public schools get less money from the state? They come to us with another levy, right? Another levy request. Ohio has more school levies than any other state in the nation. It's true, and it's because Republicans continually cut funding to our public schools. So I want you to know that as your next state rep, my top priority is to eliminate the Universal Ed Choice Voucher Program and restore full funding to the Fair School Fund. The second pillar that grounds my campaign is voting rights. During the pandemic, I joined the League of Women Voters. It was kind of my gateway into politics. We have League members here. League members, yes. Still my favorite political organization. And it's because I believe voting rights are the bedrock of our democracy. I'm committed to creating a state where our elections are fair. In Ohio, we have voted 2 times and passed constitutional amendments to end gerrymandering. But we are still voting under unconstitutional maps in this state because Republicans have simply ignored us. And they're doing it right now. They're doing it as we speak. We're in the midst of congressional redistricting. And Republicans are simply running out the clock on this process. They missed a deadline at the end of September to submit a map. They're going to miss another deadline at the end of October to submit a map because they know if they wait all the way to the end of November, they run the clock out that far, they can pass whatever map they want with a simple majority, which they have. And how does this affect us? Well, right now we have 15 seats in Congress. 10 of them are Republicans, 5 Democrats, in a state that votes 55% Republican, 45% Democratic in the last presidential, so it's already not proportional. But mark my words, and I will put some money on this, the map we will see at the end of November is going to be drawn to favor 12 Republican seats, 3 Democratic seats, if not 13-2. Wow. And here's the thing, I don't mind losing a fair fight. I have never minded that. But I do mind when somebody is constantly changing the rules and stacking the deck so that they win every single time. So, yes, we should. So I want you to know that I'm fighting for a fair fight in Ohio because I believe that voting matters, and it's because I believe democracy matters. And the third pillar that grounds my campaign is affordability. My great-grandfather immigrated to Southeast Ohio in the early 1900s from Italy to work in the coal mines there because he believed that Ohio was a place where hardworking people like him could afford a nice life. And I still believe that. I believe if you are working hard, you should be able to afford housing and food, and God forbid, if somebody gets cancer, not go bankrupt. And yeah. The question then is, why is life unaffordable for many people in Ohio right now? And I've actually brought a little chart to show you exactly why. Once a teacher, always a teacher. We love a prop. Okay, so show me this. This might look familiar to some of you. I had a chart like this during my first campaign. This was the result of a late night Google where I asked, how long have Republicans been in charge in Ohio? I honestly didn't know. Some people want it held up. Where's one of my tall sons? There you go. First one I see. There you are. Yeah, there you go. You can put the water down and hold it up. There you go. First things first. There we go. There, see, and hold it up so people can see. There we go. All right, so I'll move over here so I can talk about it. So I Googled late at night, how long have Republicans been in charge in Ohio? And this was what I found, and it was so striking to me that I had it blown up. I toted it all around during 2024, and I had to make another one because I had to change it a little bit. I had to add a couple extra columns. This is 2025, this is 2026. So what this shows you is that for 28 of the last 35 years in Ohio, Republicans have held a legislative trifecta. That means they've held the governorship, the Senate, and the House. And what, pray tell, have they done with this immense power that they've amassed in the past 3 decades? The number one thing they've done is they have cut taxes for corporations and the very wealthy, which means they have cut funding to our schools, our parks, our libraries, and our local governments. And what happens to all of us when our local schools, parks, libraries, and local governments get less money from the state? Another levy, right? We get asked for another property tax levy, the property tax owners. In Ohio, we are paying the 8th highest property taxes in the nation. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it if I'm getting what I pay for.
Yes.
I'm okay paying the 8th highest property taxes if we have the 8th best education system.
Yes.
We rank 30th. Ohio used to rank 5th, actually, in public education in the year 2010. Just for funsies, let's look at the chart. Let's see what was happening. What was happening in Ohio in 2010? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Would you look at that? We have 2 blue boxes. In 2010, we were on the 4th year of a Democratic governor and the 2nd year of a Democratic House. And so what this shows you is that when Democrats have a voice in Columbus, good things can happen. And I'm also okay with paying those 8th highest property taxes if we have the 8th best healthcare system. We rank 34th. And when it comes to maternal and infant mortality, we're 43rd. You know, I had a high-risk pregnancy. I gave birth to 3 premature infants at the same time at Miami Valley Hospital right here in Dayton. 43rd means that in Ohio, too many women like me and too many kids like my kids never made it home from the hospital. 43rd is unacceptable. It should be unacceptable to all of us. I'm also okay paying the 8th highest property taxes if we have the 8th best economy. We rank 39th. So what this shows you is that in Ohio, we are paying more and we are getting less every single year. And it's because Republicans like my opponent don't really care about our schools, our health, or our economy. They care about staying in power. And so what are we gonna do? We're gonna vote them out.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do. We're going to vote them out, and we have an excellent opportunity to do that right here in this district in 2026. Folks, we are standing in the top most competitive flip seat in the entire Ohio House. And yes, it's really exciting. And that's because the only good news for Democrats in 2024 that nobody talked about was that in 2024 we didn't lose any seats in the House, and in fact we gained 2. Which means that districts like mine, which always hovered in the top 3, 4, 5 most competitive, we've moved up. And so I asked the House caucus a few weeks ago, I was on the phone, I said, can I say we are the top most competitive seat now? And they said, yes, you can. So we're the most competitive. That's good news. But there's other good news. The other good news is that Democrats can win here. In 2024, Sherrod Brown won this district by 8 points. That's exciting. Kamala Harris won this district by 1 point. My favorite statistic about the district, in 2020, Joe Biden won this district by 1 literal vote. It was mine. I pushed Joe over. So Democrats can win. Democrats can win. That is good news. We can do this. But I absolutely cannot do it by myself, which is why I'm so excited to see all of you here tonight. I'm asking for your support in whatever way you can for this race, and that can look a lot of different ways. That could look like next spring, summer, fall, when we're knocking the doors, you're out there knocking with me. I know we have some college students here, right, state students? Yay. Young legs, folks, young legs, knocking doors. Maybe that looks like you inviting me to your home, inviting some of your friends and neighbors over so that I can introduce myself, share my vision for Ohio with them, especially if you live in Kettering. That is really helpful to me. Kettering is the nut I need to crack to win this race. So if you're in Kettering and you're willing to have me over, I'll give a similar speech to your friends and neighbors. But don't worry, we're not going to do that until at the earliest next spring, summer, fall. You've got plenty of time to clean your bathroom. You don't have to do it tonight. You can wait a long time to clean it. If you're interested in that, my team is here at this table. They're happy to take your name, your contact information, and reach out to you when it's time for that. The other way you can support me is by a financial donation. I know that some of you in this room have already done that, and I'm extremely grateful. If you haven't made a donation and you want to, my team does have some envelopes back there. They're happy to give one to you. And just know there's no expectation of any amount that people donate. I've had high school kids give me $10. I've had college kids give me $15. You might be able to add a 0 to that. Maybe 2. I don't know. Depends on your budget. But anything you can donate, I'm very grateful to receive that. So I want to close us out tonight by acknowledging where we are in this moment. I know that many of us feel pretty scared. We're looking at the news and we're upset. Maybe a better word would be terrified by what we're seeing. And a lot of us feel worried. We're worried for the future. We're worried for our kids and our grandkids. And those are all very valid feelings. And I feel that way myself. So I wanted to share with you what I do when I start to feel really down or really overwhelmed by the political situation in which we find ourselves. I think back to all of the historical struggles that we've been through as a nation and how we have always come through the other side. I think about the suffragists. Does anybody know how long it took women to get the right to vote in this country from Seneca Falls? Too long is the right answer. From Seneca Falls to the passage of the 19th Amendment. My daughters heard me practice this speech at home. Mercedes, what is it?
It was 76 years?
72 years? That's close, very close. 72 years. 72 years for women. And for black women in the South, how much longer for them until the passage of the Voting Rights Act in 1965? Too long. 45 more years. 45 more years. And you know, the thing is, the people fighting for women's suffrage and for civil rights, they did not know what part of history they were in. They just knew there was work to be done, and so they did it. And similarly, right now, we don't know what part of history we're in this moment. But there's one thing we know, and it's very clear, and that's that there is work to be done. And we don't need to wait 72 years or 100 years to start to see change in this state. We have an opportunity right here, right now, in 2026, in this district, to start to change things. So I don't know about all of you, but I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm getting to work, and I sincerely hope that you will join me. Thank you all so much for being here.